Like, like here's the best example I can give you, right? Me, you, and Kai, let's say we all play basketball, we're all guards. Me and you are on the same team. And for whatever reason, our team does the 2 point guard system, a la Dame and CJ, right? But let's say we're the three best guards in the league. I'm cool with you and I'm cool with Kai, but you and Kai don't fuck with each other, right? But the fans want us to go at each other. And for the first time, we're in the same conference. And so for the first time, we're playing each other in the playoffs with stuff on the line. So Kai comes out and he calls us out like, yeah, I'm about to kill them, da 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 da. And I'm like, all right, bet. It's time. So I go to the media and I talk my shit. Like, yeah, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna guard Kai the whole time. I hope he guards me. No zone defense, no pick and roll, ISO work. I'm gonna drop 50 on his head every game. Da 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 da. I'm talking my shit. But then you go, yeah, I'm a murderer. And I'm like, yeah, we about to murder him. You're like, nah, I'm gonna murder him. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, bro, it's on site. When he goes for a layup, I'm bridging him. When he comes in the lane, I'm clotheslining him. All that basketball stuff you talking about, this ain't that. As soon as it's jump ball, all that basketball stuff is gonna be over 5 minutes into the first quarter of the first game. I got a minimum 4 games to inflict pain on this brother. I don't like him. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And then Kai calls me and he's like, yeah, bro, no funny shit. This ain't even about basketball, brother. All that me and you, me versus you, we could do that another time. I don't like your man's Charles, and I'm gonna kill him. For me, I'm gonna sit there and say, all right, bro, if that's the type of time y'all on, I'm gonna let y'all have that. I'm gonna just stand in the corner and shoot threes all series. I'm not getting into this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll. Charles is always daydreaming, and we are two guys that like BSN at work.
You're
All right. Some things have happened in the last 6, 7 months in hip hop, and we need to talk about it. This is a pod I kind of wanted to do regardless. I'm a huge J. Cole fan. We know the fall off is coming sometime soon. A lot of people are speculating before the end of this year. If not, like I would gotta believe it's 2025 at some point. So this was a pod that I wanted to do, especially in the midst of the whole Kendrick, Drake, Cole beef situation. But if you've been living under a rock, J. Cole dropped a song last night addressing some of the things that have happened. And so I said, you know what? This is a perfect time to do this pod. I'm not going to play the song because copyright issues. I don't know how people do that. There's a lot of YouTubers that are like music reviewers. Like I watched a lot of reviews on this song last night. I don't know if it's as simple as putting in the description that you don't own the rights. I don't know if it's something that you need to get that you need to apply for with YouTube and get cleared. Either way, we're not trying to have copyright strikes. We struggle enough as it is. So what I'll do is I will put the link to the song in the description. So if you haven't heard it, you can click the link and listen to it and then come back, whatever, whatever. I'll do that in the description, but I won't play the song.
and
Um,
also not for nothing. We're not going to do a breakdown of bar for bar because, like what Brett said, I've been wanting to talk about the beef, the big three situation. As everyone knows, I'm a hip hop head. It's been a minute since I did a dope radio, but this was literally going to be the dope radio we did before shit just happened over the summer. Personally, uh, this situation, it is really hard to explain if you have been living under a rock and you didn't pay attention to the whole uh, Drake Kendrick beef. But then again, who the hell is listening to this podcast that didn't pay attention to the Drake Kendrick beef? So I'm sorry if you didn't, but I'm assuming that you have the most basic knowledge of what happened. And if you didn't, straight from memory, I don't have any notes. There's pretty much been a decade-long Cold War between Kendrick and Drake. They've been throwing subliminals at each other for years, even though they collabed over a decade ago on each other's albums. Drake was on Good Kid, Mad City on Poetic Justice, and then Kendrick was on Buried Alive after Marvin's Room on Drake's second album, Take Care, which I think it might be his best album. And that's not hate on his newer stuff. I just think that might be his best album. And since then, they really haven't been cool. And last year it started with a J. Cole verse featured on Drake's album, which I personally think is Drake's most mid album. I don't want to call it trash or bad or anything like that because it's fine, but compared to just his previous work, I feel like Drake's For All the Dogs album is just his most mid project of all time. And that song was the biggest song. And J. Cole, ever since J. Cole dropped that verse, we got some classic tracks. Drake dropped back to back, or no, I'm sorry, back to back, dropping "Give Me 50" and called out Kendrick, and then he dropped that Taylor Swift freestyle, which wasn't that great, pushing Kendrick, and then Kendrick dropped Euphoria, and then we all thought that was awesome. Drake dropped Family Matters, and before me and Brett even texted each other about Family Matters, Meet the Grams dropped, which is probably the most vicious diss of the entire thing. And when Not Like Us dropped, it was just different. Shit's a hit. You know what I mean? Like shit rang all throughout the summer. There was the moment at the cookout, and J. Cole dropped it all in between the midst of all that. He dropped the 7-minute drill, which I think is a dope ass track, just for the record. I really like My Delete Later. It got lost in the shuffle of the beef, as even as me explaining it, I forgot to mention it, even though he's the inspiration for this song, which is kind of indicative of the situation he found himself in. Because right after he dissed Kendrick, which from my understanding of the situation from all parties, because there's a lot of Kendrick and a lot of Drake stands out there, that Drake was a little misleading on the situation with getting Kendrick on that song. So Cole was rapping under a different impression than what he than what was the reality of the situation. And yeah, he kind of backed out of it because he didn't want to lose a friend. We and you knew that then. We kind of were the fans that were kind of like, yeah, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But this is the first time he dropped Port Antonio, and now he's kind of addressing it. And I listened to it once or twice. I listened to it at the gym like an hour ago because it dropped today. And it is really, I like it. It's just classic Cole. You know what I mean? If we didn't weren't going to talk about it in the bigger context, I just vibe to it. It sounds like what's it called? Is it the warm up or what's the one with the prelude on it and the last stuff he's dropped?
Uh, with the prelude on it.
Yeah, or and the comeback and all that.
Oh, the come up,
The come up. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like I love his projects, dude. I
Well,
don't take that
I'm
as
glad you said that. I will get into that in a second.
don't take that as disrespect because I usually forget projects if I listen to them almost straight through. Because I got Cole's been on a playlist for me since he dropped. So I don't think it's the first word of this slide in the literal sense. I can't wait for the album. But some of the reaction to Cole saying he's not doing this shit because he's friends with these guys, I find it hilarious because the same hip hop heads that will bitch and moan that it's so fake and it's so WWE are now attacking the dude, going, "No, I'm actually friends with these guys. I'm not doing this for money," which is just crazy to me because they're hating on him. I get the sport of it. I'm a hip hop head. I get the
Yeah,
sport of it, but that's not what y'all are talking about. You're not
yeah,
talking about the sport.
we gonna get into all of that.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to give that little summation because I wanted to do a whole dope radio on it. Unlike Brett, I don't give a flying fuck about any rules. So I was just going to put all these songs and throw it up on the podcast stream. Um, Fuck it, it's hip hop. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're like. I ain't asking you for permission. Like I'm just gonna play the shit. Hey,
Yeah,
and real talk,
yeah,
Kendrick heard the dope. Not Kendrick. I'm sorry, Crooked Eye heard the dope radio I did about him. He liked that shit on our Instagram. It's still up. Like I just think it's funny because the hip hop heads in hip hop they don't have a problem with me playing a song and I mean like, yo, how awesome was that song?
yeah. Again, we're just trying not to get our page taken down. So
So I'm just pointing this out. I'm just pointing this out because these fans, these three fan bases in particular, of three of the biggest names in hip hop
oh,
history.
they're
I
the
don't say
most
that
toxic ever.
hyperbolically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hold on. I'm gonna
Okay.
get into all that. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Because yeah. Hold on.
Get
So
me on my hip hop soapbox.
I know. He, So yeah, this is so the song was called Port Antonio, and if you haven't listened to it again, I'm gonna put the link in the description. The first verse is just him spitting, like it's typical Cole stuff of talking about how he grew up, talking about how he got to where he's at, talking about his perspective on life. Got some great bars in there. The basketball slash drug dealer metaphor bars were fire. The Michael Jackson bars were fire. The first verse is like him just spitting. It's the second verse is what's the biggest thing because he addresses the beef. He addresses what happened, why he backed out, da 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 da. Before and I have the lyrics, I have two of the lyrics on the next slide I'm going to read to you. But before I get into that, before I read it, here's my take on the whole situation. And I'm gonna be real with you. When he first backed out, I was extremely disappointed. when he first backed out, I was one of those dudes that's like, yo, Cole, come on, bro. I if you know anything about me, I pride myself in taking my bias out of stuff, right? And I pride myself on being like, obviously we're human. Like we're all gonna have some type of biases subconsciously when we think of certain things. But I try my best to see things for what they are, depending. It doesn't matter if I like the person or not, right? For me, I said the same thing a lot of people are saying, like, yo, Cole, you've been saying for years now, line them up. I don't care who it is, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna go at you. I'm gonna prove that I'm the best. And the one guy we wanted you to go at called you out and you swung, but then you ran away. And not only did you run away, the way you ran away, the things that he said when he apologized was like, dude, what really? Like, what are we doing here? So I ain't gonna lie to you. I was highly disappointed when he backed out because I too, like you, I like 7 minute drill. A lot of the criticisms of 7 minute drill made no sense to me. It's like, oh, he didn't come for blood. He didn't do. I was like, first of all, it was a warning shot. Everybody knows the first diss is not like the kill shot. It's a warning shot. He even says it on the song. Second of all, they're friends. What? Like that doesn't make like if me and you were rappers and we were trying to
He
figure out
said
who's the
it.
best. I'm
Y'all
not
in my
gonna
mess.
dish
Y'all.
your.
He said y'all in my DMs for a toxic reply. Like that's what he. That's what it was. He felt like he it was. This is just some toxic bullshit, and he's been saying it the whole time. And I just find it hilarious. The same fans that bitch and moan. It's so fake. Don't like somebody, whether you like agree with it or not. That's not the fake answer. You know what I mean? That's not the scripted answer.
It's
Like,
what yeah, but like it's one of those things where it's like he dissed the art. Because realistically, if they're gonna diss each other, that's the only thing they can do. They're not gonna get personal. Again, if me and you are beefing, even if me and you are just telling jokes, right? We make fun of each other all the time. There's certain jokes we don't do, right? We don't talk about each other's families, your kids, your wife, you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
because like there's a line you don't cross, especially if it's just us, in jest with each other. We wanted those two guys to go in a booth to figure out who's the best, right? And in hip hop, there's only really two ways you could do it. Get on a song, which for some reason they refuse to do. So get on a song together or diss each other. Kendrick did call them out. Cole responded. Cool. To me, it was a good warning shot diss. And the people that said he didn't come hard enough, I was like, first of all, and that was another thing. Kendrick didn't even really say nothing about him, even in Like That, which started this whole thing. He was specifically addressing Drake. Literally,
Mhm.
the only thing he said about Cole was F the big three, it's just Big Me. So the people saying that Cole response wasn't good enough, I'm like, but response to what? He wasn't even coming at Cole. It was clear from the jump this was about Drake, but obviously because Cole was on that song and he referenced the song directly, Cole was kind of in the middle of it, right? So the criticisms of the song never made sense to me to begin with. Um, and then but again, when he backed out, I did say, Cole, you can't do that. I don't want to hear another braggadocious bar about how you're the best again. If you jump ship, you said you wanted smoke, and then you got the smoke, and then you jabbed and then ran away. Like I was one of those people that said you can't do that. However, I have common sense and I have critical thinking skills and I'm smart. A lot of people aren't smart, and this is
Oh
really
wow.
bothering me.
Okay,
It's
Trump.
really bothering me because your opinions are allowed to change when we get new information and new facts. And one of the biggest pieces of information that we got was Schoolboy Q came out and flat out said, yo, I called Cole and said, yo, bro, this ain't that. This is not that. And so to me, once that happened, I said, okay, cool, all is forgiven. Because it's not like you were ducking smoke. It was very clear to you that this is not a lyrical sparring exercise to see who's the best. These are two people that don't like each other and they're going for blood. And yet there are still people that are still saying to this day, and again, I listened to the song, I've read all the comments, I'm in group chats with people. People are still calling him a bitch. People are still saying, nah, 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 it's the sport. It's the sport. It's the sport. You can't back out. It's the sport. And it's like, but that's the point. It wasn't sport
No.
anymore, idiots. Like, like here's the best example I can give you, right? Me, you, and Kai, let's say we all play basketball. We're all guards. Me and you are on the same team. And for whatever reason, our team does the 2 point guard system, a la Dame and CJ, right? But let's say we're the three best guards in the league. I'm cool with you and I'm cool with Kai, but you and Kai don't fuck with each other, right? But the fans want us to go at each other. And for the first time, we're in the same conference. So for the first time, we're playing each other in the playoffs with stuff on the line. So Kai comes out and he calls us out like, yeah, I'm about to kill them, da 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 da. And I'm like, all right, bet. It's time. So I go to the media and I talk my shit. Like, yeah, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna guard Kai the whole time. I hope he guards me. No zone defense, no pick and roll, ISO work. I'm gonna drop 50 on his head every game. Da 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 da. I'm talking my shit. But then you go, yeah, I'm a murderer. And I'm like, yeah, we about to murder him. You're like, nah, I'm gonna murder him. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, bro, it's on site. When he goes for a layup, I'm bridging him. When he comes in the lane, I'm clotheslining him. All that basketball stuff you talking about, this ain't that. As soon as it's jump ball, all that basketball stuff is gonna be over 5 minutes into the first quarter of the first game. I got a minimum 4 games to inflict pain on this brother. I don't like him. And I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And then Kai calls me and he's like, yeah, bro, no funny shit. This ain't even about basketball, brother. All that me and you, me versus you, we could do that another time. I don't like your man's Charles, and I'm gonna kill him. For me, I'm gonna sit there and say, all right, bro, if that's the type of time y'all on. I'm gonna let y'all have that. I'm gonna just stand in the corner and shoot threes all series. I'm not getting into this. But the fans are still gonna be mad at me because, like, nah, bro, you supposed to go at God. Da, da, da. I'm like, bro, but it's not about that anymore. It's not about that anymore. Because if it was about that, I was with it. It's clearly not about that. They got some personal stuff going on that they need to settle on their own time. Me being in the middle of that doesn't do anything for me, for us, for our team, like nothing. So I'm just gonna sit in the corner and I'll shoot threes if and when the ball comes my way, and I'm gonna make him. And that's literally what Cole did. He jabbed. He said, "I'm ready for the smoke." They called him and said, "Yo, bro, this ain't that. This is not no lyrical who's the best type of beef. This is personal. We don't like anything your man Drake stand for. We think he's a culture vulture. We think he's a snake. We think, well, obviously, we think he's a pedo. We think he's just a terrible human being. We don't like him. He don't like us. We are coming
It's
for
the way that
blood."
he walks.
Yeah, like he not like us. Step out of this. So Cole stepped out. Now, I will say this. Even on this song, and matter of fact, let me go get to the lyrics. He said, I pulled the plug because I seen where it's about to go. They wanted blood. They wanted clicks. That's how to make their pockets grow. They see the fire in my pen and think I'm dodging smoke. I would have lost a battle dog, but I would have lost a bro. I would have gained a foe, and all for what? Attain some old props from strangers that don't give a clue what I'm aiming for. Then he goes on to say, to be considered the best or live the rest. The weight of both things, I understand the thirst of being first, made them both swing, protecting legacies. So lines got crossed, perhaps regrettably. My friends went to war. I walked away with the blood on me. Some will discredit me, try to wipe away my pedigree, but please find a nigga out there rapping incredibly. My dog texted me. I'll share the words that he said to me. If you refuse to shoot the gun, doesn't mean the gun ain't deadly. So he literally says all this in the song, which is what I've been saying for months now, which is he was ready to go in the ring and claim his title as the best. He clearly realized this was not about that. And once he realized it was not about that, he backed off. So again, I don't understand for the life of me why people still don't get that through their mind. People are still like, oh no, nah, bro, it's the culture, it's the sport. It wasn't a sport anymore, bro. It was not sport. Now, again, what I'll also say where Cole is still hurting himself because he has other lines, but I didn't want to get bogged down into the whole thing. He has other lines where he's still too much emphasizing the fact that they're friends and too much emphasizing the fact that it was getting personal, da 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 da. And to me, I think that's where he kind of gets himself in trouble because even with the apology sounded so weak. And I will still maintain that it's not the fact that he backed out, it's what he said when he backed out. It still sounded mad weak to me. Um, because I think he went about it the wrong way. Sometimes you gotta be blunt. And like even with Kai, I be telling him that sometimes like too. Like, bro, when you in the media, sometimes stop with all the extra words and stuff and leaving up for interpretation. Just say what you got to say, bro. And and I understand why Cole couldn't just come out and say like, "Yo, these niggas about to kill each other." I ain't into that. But there was still a better way to go about saying it. And even now, I think he needs to emphasize that part even more. It's not that I wasn't trying to battle. It wasn't about the battle. They wanted other things, and I wasn't a part of that. I think the whole friendship thing, we know you're friends. You don't have to say that. We get it. I think him trying to emphasize that isn't helping his case because it sounds like it was more of a buddy buddy thing than anything else. But again, my thing is he got in the ring. For the people that say he was dodging smoke, he got in the ring. Remember, it took Drake weeks to respond to like that at first. Cole
Mhm.
did it the very next week. Mind you, he had to because Mike Delete Later was coming out that week, but he still did it. He
No,
responded that week.
J. Cole responded faster than Drake did, and then Drake rushed Kendrick because he dropped a couple songs like, "Oh, where are you at now, Kendrick? You're supposed to be Mr. Rappity Rap," and then he fell back on, "Oh, look, what are you rapping to get the slaves free?" Like the thing about this whole beef is, you're right, it's very personal, and these two dudes. Kendrick really doesn't like Drake, and Drake is one of those dudes that just wants everyone to like him, and that's what it seems like to me as a fan of all three of these individuals. The problem with what uh, Kendrick is doing as far as Cole's concerned is he's attacking him as a human being. He's questioning the character beyond the battle. The irony of all this is we are, like what you said, we have new information. We thought Pac was doing that for sport because Biggie said we were cool before. What from what we know now, Biggie didn't know Diddy had was talking to Jimmy Henchman and helped set Tupac up in 1994. We know that now, or allegedly we know that now, and now we know Keefe D shot Tupac, and there's plenty of video of Keefe D talking about, oh well, Puff said there was a six-figure thing, and then you should probably give that to whoever did that. Like he's talking about this, and I'm just saying, you're right. J. Cole should have just said it. And you don't get the benefit of the doubt when you're known for being a great wordsmith. So when you fumble over your words, it looks a little bit worse. In regards to what he's saying, I agree, man. If they're both your boys, they're both your boys. You don't believe the shit that Kendrick's saying, you don't believe the shit that Drake's saying. It goes hand in hand because the Drake stands will be like, oh, look, he's not siding with Kendrick. He's not a pedophile. He's not all these things. And then you got to remember, but Drake is attacking all these dudes' families. Every time Drake disses somebody, he's attacking their spouse, their family, talking all this shit, all this very toxic shit. So it's a two-way street here. If you hate Drake, cool. You got to understand though, you may believe all that shit you're saying, but you're talking about another human being. Same goes for all the Drake stands acting like Kendrick ain't saying nothing. Okay, fine, but that means your boy's saying something, and he can't get everybody else's spouse out his mouth. Every family that seems to be functioning, he just attacks them, and that's been pointed out by many critics that aren't just Drake haters. So I think it's very valid that he stayed out this beef because what the fuck? Everything he raps about is introspective. You're right. As a fan, he always called out the smoke, but that wasn't this.
Exactly.
And even if it was this, what is the beef here? What do you want Cole to say besides what he's already saying that he's the best in the game?
Yes, and I'm glad you said because that was my thing too. I didn't like the whole see for me, even before we learned all the information, right? When it was strictly about, hey man, they're friends, da 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 da. I didn't like the beat to begin with because as a Cole fan, I know how toxic Cole fans could be. I know how toxic Kendrick fans can be. I know how toxic Drake fans can be. Realistically, even if all three of them stayed in the beef, nobody was going to win because Kendrick fans were going to swear he won no matter what. Cole fans were going to swear he won no matter what. Drake fans were going to swear he won no matter what. And even now, Drake fans still believe he won. Kendrick fans still believe.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hold on. Drake stands believe he won. It's like it's the worst of the worst. Ain't nobody that's objectively a hip hop head. And I'm saying this as a Drake fan. I'm a Drake fan. Dude lost. If you
No,
can
no,
sit up here and
I
twist your
agree with
lips
you.
and say that, oh well, if Push didn't beat him, okay, fine. You want to make an argument that Pusha T didn't beat him, sure. But all the metrics that Drake stands were saying this is why Drake's on top. Okay, so the Drake this is on top, not Drake's diss, the diss to Drake. He
Right,
lost. Get
right.
over it. You
No,
know what
no,
I mean?
no,
Like,
no. Objectively, he lost. That's. But my point is, it doesn't matter. They all have toxic stand bases, not fan bases, but stand bases, and so it was never going to be resolved regardless. So I didn't like it either anyway. But then, like I also said to begin with, what is Cole going to say to Kendrick? Because honestly, even then, right, they are friends. Even if you keep dissing the art, right, and dissing the music, that can get personal too. You know how artists are sensitive about their stuff. So realistically, they did keep it to the music, it would have still gotten personal at some point because it's like, damn, bro,
Well,
like
to be fair, again, Drake stands don't like us pointing out it got personal when Drake dissed him and Drop and Give Me 50, and he dissed all these artists. Drake throws subliminals all the time. As a fan of Drake, you cannot give him props as a rapper and act like, oh, he's so intricate. He's playing 3D chess. You got to read between the lines and all that shit as a compliment. And then when everyone's like, yeah, he's subliminally dissing all these rappers all the time. Oh, no, no, no. They all ganged up on him. No, you just said you got to read between the lines. That diss is filled, like it attacked like 6 people. And then you got mad when those 6 people responded as a sport of like, okay, fuck you too. Like, what? And then you're mad at these people for teaming up. Like, he didn't just say all this shit. Which one is it? Because either we're respecting that this dude's on top and he can say whatever the fuck he wants because he's on top, and then when he does, people respond. Listen, I'm not the biggest Rick Ross fan in the world, but Rick Ross responded because you twisted your lips and started talking shit. Like, I didn't know Rick Ross was even involved in this shit, but you wanted to do that on Drop and Give Me 50. Okay. You know what I mean? So when it gets to being personal, Drake introduced the personal. Talking about Whitney and all this other shit in the first diss track or response, the first response. Because again, you got hurt by a light pack. That's what Kendrick said. He dissed you like, fuck the big three. It's just me. That was the crux of the diss. Besides, you want to keep saying you're Mike Jack. Prince outlived Mike Jack. And the whole wordplay of getting Mike Jack. Come on, guys. Like if we can do the sport thing here, but if we're saying who made it personal first, you're not telling me like that is a personal diss. Why? It's personal because his BFS Future was on it. Maybe he was so hurt that his former best friend that he also sub dissed on his album that I didn't know until my boy Scurbs told me. I didn't even recognize that was like what would Future do or whatever the track is off his last album. That's a diss to Future because they fell out by that point. So you're hurt that your ex best friend who misses you apparently did a song that dissed you. But so you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. Unless you're admitting that's the personal thing, that you took it personal, that Future did it. You didn't diss Future with all that energy. We're not talking about Drake's diss the Future here. So it's just so disingenuous. All the fan bases too, because some of the Kendrick fans act like Drake is irrelevant now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it goes all these different ways. I don't know. I guess I'm literally a fan of all three of these rappers. I've been a fan of all three of these rappers for over a decade at this point. Like, it is very weird for me to say whose camp I'm in because it sounds like I'm a Drake hater because I assume I'm in Kendrick or Cole's camp because I like their music more recently. And I'm how many times are you gonna get caught with ghosts? You've heard, again, going back to Brett's point about it getting new information. I want to build off that because Brett, you made a great point. You've heard me defend Drake in musical arguments that one reference track doesn't prove shit because you just might need some help learning. Like, what flow do you want me to use? How am I supposed to say that? All right, I got you. Here, just do that. It could be as simple as that. But through this beef and Drake pissing off a lot of people, a lot of reference tracks have been getting dropped that are Drake songs. And Drake could be
Not just reference tracks. A lot of like SoundCloud rappers are like, bro, that's my song. Like I didn't write that as a reference track. He took my song. Like,
bro. All I gotta say to that is once, whatever. But the established artists that get credit, let's be clear here, because what you're saying, I'm not privy to. What I'm saying is Drake has credited some of these dudes on the track, like officially. So they got paid. All respect to you, Drake. Be clear here. He's paying some of these dudes for taking their songs. So I don't want to hear them bitching. You should have got a plaque. You know what I mean? Like, you're on the liner notes for the kids. That's the booklet.
yeah.
But for real, I you can't. if he's not writing all his shit, or he needs 20 writers, that takes him out of the top 5 dead or alive conversation with me, because that's the same standard I've held Kanye to. But I think he deserves the big 3 status. There's an
Oh
argument
yeah,
to be made.
listen, listen.
There's an argument to be made
I,
that Future's
I
4th.
am a self-made Drake hater, but but I would never say he's not part of Big Three. That's just again, I take my bias out of it. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Like,
but you also, this is a weird conversation because Brett is self admittedly not a hip hop head. He likes R&B more. So this is just his favorite rapper. And it engulfs his favorite rapper, because like if there was a more obscure hip hop beef that was going on, he'd be like, I don't know, what is this foolishness going on in
yeah,
these
I
mixtapes?
wouldn't even care.
But that's the difference, right? I wanted to make that point. Let me say, this is the first time it's been like this, because a lot of people want to bring up Tupac like I did at the beginning, but that was more making a reference to crossing lines and being disrespectful. A lot of people made the takeover ether comparisons. And now this is where my mortality hits, because I'm 35 and I remember this shit, right? I was like in middle school, or beginning high school when or no, it was 2001. So I was in middle school when Takeover and Ether were the beef, the Jay-Z Nas beef. Those disses were almost like a year apart. They were not back to back like what we were experiencing here in the calendar year of 2024. Just to be clear to everybody, that is not usual. You need to give these men the props they deserve as artists. If you don't want to give Drake props as a rapper, whatever, but you need to give him props as an artist, that they were able to make this level of music beefing this quick. Because people are gonna be like, oh, it was a couple weeks after, like that, and then push that. Cool, weeks. These songs are like platinum now, aren't they? The ones that are actually on sale. So like, bro, I get what Cole's saying. It was for money, but there's two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. They could be doing it for money, and you could call Drake a culture vulture, but as somebody who is like 2 years younger than Drake, this is shit that like he's a stan for hip hop. He loves like he's not collecting all these random things because he's not a fan of the culture. I'm saying the G unit. Hold on. I need to be clear, because an overlooked part of this whole beef is the Who Kid drop, and then he has the G Unit spinner in the video. Talk all the shit you want. That is my age group. He's targeting for us, and that was when I knew. I'm like, oh, Drake's about to go in, because somebody in their 30s ain't gonna have a Who Kid drop and show a G Unit chain, and you about to spit some bullshit. I'm just saying. Drake didn't spit some bullshit
So
on Family Matters for that reason to me.
So yes, I mean, there's a lot of issues with the beef with Drake specifically because there's a lot of like you said, like he pissed off the whole industry. A lot of it also seems to be, and I'm gonna say allegedly, is how he does stuff business wise.
Uh-huh.
And for people that don't know, Drake is half white, half black, and basically a lot of people accuse him of playing the black side when it's convenient and then playing the white side when it's convenient.
No, don't say the white side. Say the Jewish side. That's the
Well,
that's
so
the
I don't
real
want to say the
factor
J.
here.
I don't want to say the J word
No, well,
because
that's because you're friends with Kyrie. Uh,
no, that's because I
it's
that
a beef tape. The basketball thing was real, motherfuckers.
no,
No, I'm
because
fucking with you.
I'm a disciple of Dave Chappelle, and he said the two words you can't say is the Jews. It's like
I didn't say it. That's what you're talking about. I'm a journalist. I'm gonna keep it real.
yeah,
You can't
but
sugarcoat reality.
that's the white side as
Oh no,
we
but it is, and it's also a little problematic. It is a little problematic, and I want to keep it a buck because it's just a factor that Kendrick, because I'm a Kendrick fan, and this is what the stands don't want to point out, or some of them do, problematically though, is that To Pimp a Butterfly had a lot of that Black Hebrew Israelite vibe to it. And that's not disrespectful. That's just me as a fan listening to the shit he's saying. And I'm like, I heard some of this shit come from some of these people before, right? And that's just part of the album. And it wasn't beating you over the head with it. So it was kind of okay, passed. It wasn't ever considered anti Semitic. That shit, which is true in hip hop, people are saying it, not me or Brett, but it's people inside the industry saying he puts on whatever hat he needs to put on when he needs to put it on, type of he puts this mask on in this room, he puts this mask on in the other room, and we see it in his music because he switches up his style, so it's easy for us as fans to perceive that as reality. The problem with that is we need better details, because the implication that he's being uh that guy in this room and acting black in this room. I need some more uh proof, because showing me a 15-year-old video of him as a teenager talking to his mom
Oh
inside
no, no.
his
See, we're
house
not talking
when
about
he's a
that. We're not.
Degrassi
Well,
star
I'm
isn't proof.
surprised you don't know about this because you're a huge Joe Budden fan. So Joe Budden's been talking about this a lot.
Oh well, Joe Budden beef with him like 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, and yes, it is Joe Budden. So take it with a grain of salt. But others have talked about this too. The theory, I'm gonna say theory because we don't have concrete proof, but the theory is what he's been doing on the business end has been screwing over a lot of artists, and that's why I say the white side. So it's like, and that's where Kendrick was saying you run to Atlanta to get your street. So again, you're black and you use these black artists to get your street cred up, but then on the business side, you screw over the same artists that were giving you that street cred,
Mm-hmm.
and
No,
which
no,
is
I understand the criticism. I'm saying the people making the claim need to do it with more than a tweet. You know what I mean? Like no, come with detail. Say what you mean. Because when you start getting vague
well,
and
no,
we made the, you know what I mean? I'm
again,
not saying you're being vague. I'm saying all
no, no,
these
no. I'm
allegations.
saying like when Joe was he was talking about real life example, like even Future, they were bringing up that Thames track. I will wait for
Oh no,
you.
I know some of the shady shit he does, that he'll send a text, be like, "Oh yeah, we'll do X, Y, and Z," and that's why Kendrick has the line. I'm surprised that I got that feature request. You know what I mean? Like, I understand him being two faced, but there's levels to two faced. There's him being two faced as an artist and just saying shit he doesn't mean to other artists to get a better thing here and a better thing there. There's that level of business, and then there's people insinuating that he is taking advantage on the more macro level, like with a what's his name? Oh, it's gonna kill me. The guy who signed everybody to those 360 deals and signed Fetty Wap and all those dudes. It's gonna. I hate that I'm blanking on the dude's name. He's like a mogul in hip hop. But anyway, Jewish dude. Like there's a history of, listen. Jewish people have been a part of hip hop since the jump. Like just like Puerto Ricans, it's one of those things people get really mad until you point out like Rick Rubin and shit in the Beastie Boys. You know what I mean? It's like they're in Brooklyn, guys. It's one of the five boroughs. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where when they start talking about the business and mixing it in with that, it can be disingenuous at times. Not from this situation, just in macro in hip hop, right? Because you're just kind of blaming some folks that have been here the whole time too. Like you call him a culture vulture all you want, but like, and I'm gonna show my age. Dame Dash can talk a lot of shit. A lot of these dudes have made a lot more richer artists than he ever did. It's been 20 years since they broke up, and some of these other guys that he calls culture vultures are still here, still getting people paid. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's a give and take, and I just want to be a lot more specific when we're talking about these instances. To talk about, but I'm happy you brought up Joe Budden. Fan of Joe Budden, not the podcast, the music. He's a toxic motherfucker. And I said, and the reason I say that is because I listen to his music. I'm a big fan of his music. Drake and Joe Budden are the same person. Drake is what Joe Budden wanted to be. Period.
Yeah, pump it up.
Stop. No, I mean like musically, the introspective, the being respected as a lyricist but making all these hits. Because if you listen to Joe Budden's best work is called Moon Music. Like it's not a bad comparison. Stylistically, they're not the same because Joe is way more rapidy rap, but the subject matter, how toxic they are if you're somebody that has any type of healthy relationship and you're listening to how they describe every failed relationship. Something as simple as that. As a fan of these artists that I've listened to enough of their songs, I'm like, maybe the problem's you, bro. Maybe you should take some accountability in your relationships. And I'm talking to both Joe Budden and Drake. The difference between Joe Budden and Drake is I haven't seen everybody abandon Drake. Everybody over time, with the exception of like one or two dudes, has abandoned Joe Budden over the last 25 years. Like
But
everybody.
also
And
to be fair, if Joe Budden was as big as Drake, less people probably would have abandoned him. Like
no, but no.
it
They
is a
abandon him
business.
because he burns the bridge. Every relationship ends the same.
No, yeah, true.
And to your point about Joe Budden would know about fucking over his friends, right? As the original members of his podcast.
Hmm.
And one of them is one of the biggest Drake stands on the planet. So you
Yeah,
guys know about
academics.
it.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
like Rory and Mal. I'm not gonna hate. I really do like Rory and Mal. I think even when I think Maul is being ridiculous, it's still a quality show. At least I'd rather him be ridiculous and honest. You know what I mean? But he's not as bad as academics in my
Well,
opinion.
nobody is.
Yeah, don't dick ride, kids. Make your own opinions. You don't got to ride for these dudes. You're already getting them paid. You don't need to shoot people and spray paint shit and insult motherfuckers. Like they don't care about you that much. They don't, like they really
I
don't.
don't care about you at all.
I want to say that because I really do feel like these three, the big three, and Future. I want to say Future too. All of them to a different degree love this culture. They love the art form of hip hop. And I really do believe they love the fans because they give a fuck about what the zeitgeist, like that's why the bar hits. I'm what the culture's feeling. That's a flex to all these dudes. Like, so I don't believe they don't actually care. I think they just are narcissistic. Drake. I think Drake's narcissistic to the point where he needs it. That's why he wants it. That's the way he finds the validation. Because I think a lot of the shit's true. He's the one that didn't have like a healthy relationship apparently growing up because he doesn't ever talk about a healthy relationship. I'm not saying, and like all the accusations about Kendrick, just to keep it a buck about accusations, there's a lot less proof there. We have a lot more video and photographic evidence of the accusations being leveled at Drake. More of a paper trail, let's say. Uh, and also, it's just as a bad look when we're talking about hip hop, and your best defense is, oh no, he was leaking fake information to trick him. And all, like, I cover politics, dog. Not now, you're making excuses for a rapper not rapping but making shit up and being political to make his raps better, which is like a crazy mental gymnastic that I'm saying all this to also completely highlight why I don't need J. Cole in this shit. I just want him to drop the fall off. I want good music. And I say,
Hey,
I mean that again.
speaking of that,
But real
that is
quick,
a
why Drake lost? The music hasn't hit, and Drake's
yeah.
music
No,
usually
no, Kendrick
hits.
beat him at his own game. He really did.
Yeah,
Because every and to your point, the Drake stands will say, well, Drake won every beef because he had the hit song out of, back to back. And I forgot what the response was to Pusha T, but that was a hit. And it was like, so they said, so their thing was like, well, no, he won because he had the biggest hit, and that's what makes him great. But then when Not Like Us is the biggest hit, it's like, oh, that doesn't count because I'm like, no, don't.
Drake is still a millionaire, and it's like no one said he wasn't a millionaire.
Yeah, like they're all millionaires, idiots. Like it's like the like
Look, Drake is still charting on Spotify.
cool.
Hip hop did not wish death on Drake. Like Drake said, come at me. You're supposed to be so bad. Come at me as hard as you can. And then you want to cry when he did.
Yeah.
Like
But speaking of the fall off, because this is a J. Cole podcast, not a Drake one. I wanted one of the things I wanted to do was talk about my expectations for the fall off. Now, granted, let me say this before I start. This is a very irresponsible exercise, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And
wow.
I'm gonna explain why it's irresponsible, and I'm also gonna explain why I'm gonna do it anyway. It's irresponsible because as fans, a lot of times when we do this, when we create these expectations of what we want a project to be like, it's never going to live up to our imaginations, and therefore we don't like it as much. And so a project could be good, but because it's not what you wanted it to be, uh, it fails to compare to what you're in your mind, what it was going to be like. For instance, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. One of the things I had to stop doing was listening to the rumors and the leaks and the fake leaks of all the stuff like when games come out, because all these leaks come out and they're fake, 99.9% of them. And it's like, oh, this is going to be in the game and this is going to be in the game and the plot's going to be about this and da da da. And I'm like, oh man, this sounds like such a great game. And then when the game comes out and there's nothing like what you were hoping it was going to be, you hate it. And the game might not even be that bad, but it's not what you expected. So again, this is a very irresponsible exercise that I'm about to do. However, I'm going to do it anyway because it's fun. And he's been teasing this album for so long. And if this and the pretext is if this is his last album. Now, Charles has said many times rappers never retire, right? Fine. But even if this is the last we hear from him for a while,
It's
this
time.
is what I'm hoping I get. And I'm putting the pretext on it, like, don't hold it to this standard. This is just what I'm hoping to get out of it. If it's not that, I'm also trying to be mindful of knowing like it's probably not going to be what I want it to be, and I want to enjoy it for what it is. But if I get these top five things, then I will be super happy with it. And I put it in order based on how much I want this versus, some of the stuff, number five is less important than number one. So, but we're going to start at number one. So, number one, I need feature Cole energy. This is the one thing I need. I have to have it. So, Cole's recent feature run has been legendary. By the way, uh, just for time purposes, there's another thing I wanted to do on this. I wanted to talk about his feature run because a lot of people have been calling him the king of features, and I'm like, I don't know about that. So I wanted to kind of do a top five feature artist thing, but we just didn't have time to do all that. But anyway, his recent feature run has been legendary since 2018. He has been the undisputed feature king in hip hop. However, the two projects he's dropped in that same time frame have been good at best. I need the feature king energy on this album. I don't need he cannot be Ty Dolla Sign, where if the song says featuring Ty Dolla Sign, listen to it because you know it's gonna be fire. But if Ty Dolla Sign drops his own project, you gotta cross your fingers before you listen to it. Cause it's like, I don't need that. If I want this version of Cole on this album. I don't know if that means he doesn't handle the production at all and just writes because I feel like that's part of the problem when he does his own projects. He like to produce all of it. Obviously he writes everything. Maybe he just needs to focus on writing and have producers cultivate the sonically the album that he's trying to make, and trust them to do the job. Maybe he needs to do that. I don't know if that means the album needs to be heavy on features. I know a lot of people hate that. I'm cool with a lot of features as long as one, the features are good, and two, there's a balance. If there's enough you on the track, I'm cool with it. Um, but I don't know if the album needs to be heavy on features so that he feels like he just needs to murder everybody on it. I don't know if he needs to act like it's somebody else's project and like feature himself on all these songs and then delete the other artist stuff later and give us that. I don't care what he has to do, but I need feature Cole on this album. That is the number one thing I need on this. If I get that and everything else is not on this list, I'm cool with it. But yeah, he's been killing it lately. And that's another thing too. When I say feature Cole, I'm not saying rapidy rap, just bars after bars after bars after bars.
That's feature Cole.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's not feature Cole. He's given us what makes his features so great is he's given whatever the song is, he's given it exactly what it needed. If it's introspective story time, he's done that. Pretty Little Fears is probably my favorite feature from him. And there's no bars on that, but it's just him just speaking like just being deep as shit and everything else. He did that again this year on Tim's Free Fall, right? It's not like the bars were that great, but like what he was saying was just deep and introspective. He's done the rapidy rap. He's done stuff with T Grizzly where he can just give me the braggadocious and money line bars and everything else. So when I say feature Cole, I mean every track he's giving it exactly what it needs and he's killing it. So I don't need him, but then also to your point, he's also done the rapidy rap. Like, yeah, give me your best rapper. I'm gonna kill him with lyrics. Obviously, we want that too. Um, but yeah, like that's my point. Feature Cole is whatever story he wants to tell on this album, cool, but you need to kill it. And sometimes that means rapidy rap, bars on top of bars on
Yeah,
top of
but Might
bars.
Delete Later is a bunch of throwaway tracks for this.
Yeah. And it was pretty good. And what I did say about Mike Delete later, because I watched the videos before that came out, he said he's made the fall off like six times. And it's obvious that Mike Delete later is one of those times.
Mhm.
If if Might Delete Later is versions one, two, or three, then that means the fall off is going to be amazing. If it's like four, five, six, that means the fall off is going to be good, but not the all-time classic he's been hyping it up to be. Which is why I'm saying I need feature Cole. I need this album to be great. If this is your last album for a while, I need it to be great. So yeah, feature Cole, number one. Number two, I need a Jay-Z feature. I need a Jay-Z feature. As we know, Jay and Cole's relationship has always been weird. Cole never really got the backing of Hove the way Hove usually backs his other artists. And to Cole's credit, he's been doing just fine without it. But it still doesn't sit right to me that these two legendary artists have never given us a classic song together. Guys, for perspective, they only got two songs together. One of them is A Star Is Born before anybody knew who J. Cole even was. And it was a throwaway song on Blueprint 3, which is one of Jay-Z's like albums, right?
It is not one of Jay-Z's albums. That is bullshit. It is one of the most popular Jay-Z albums of all time. It has so many fucking hits on it. And A Star Is Born literally made J. Cole a star. So to say they have no classic tracks is a little misleading
No,
considering how
no,
much
bro,
Jay-Z
I'm a
pushed
J. Cole.
J. Cole's first album. You cannot say you do not remember Rockefeller if you think that he did not get the support from Jay-Z. Come on, man.
You think, did he get the same support that Wayne gave Drake? Did he get the same support that Kanye gave Big Sean?
They didn't have
No.
the same type of deal.
What do you mean? He was signed. He was Rock Nation's first
Yeah,
artist.
Rock Nation's more of a management company for live shows than a record label like Young Money is.
Rock Nation was the label. What do you mean?
Was and it's like it's not really a label like the way Jay-Z ran it. I'm saying it mostly was management. It did
But
not
that's
operate.
the point I'm making. He didn't get the
He
same.
did. He literally did, bro. Like his
He did
first
not.
album, this North Carolina artist, his very first album. He's one of the headliners of Summer Jam.
Okay. Again, I'm talking about strictly music. He did
Yeah,
not
and one of the songs he got a feature on Blueprint 3, one of the most popular Jay-Z albums of all time.
a
Does that not
song.
help him?
Most people did not even realize that was J. Cole. That's the point I'm making.
That's how I bro, that's how
Hold on,
I learned who he was.
time out. I as a J. Cole fan had to go back and listen to a Star Is Born. I was like, oh shit, that was J. Cole on that.
Bro,
Like,
that's just weird because that's how most people older than you were like, who the hell is J. Cole?
okay, I understand. I understand that. What I'm trying to say is Jay-Z has way more tracks with Drake. He's got more tracks with Kendrick. He's got more tracks with other artists than
Mhm.
he has J. Cole. And again, and then the second
I think
song,
that's a stylistic artistic thing that has everything to do with J. Cole.
no, it's not. It's clearly not. Because that's what I'm saying. The second song, Jay-Z screwed him over on Sideline Story. So the story behind that is, so they did Mr. Nice Watch together, which go ahead and lie and say that was a great song.
Oh,
Uh
that wasn't a hit now? Or oh wait, you weren't old enough to get in
Mr.
the bar.
Nice Watch was not a hit.
Yeah, it
People,
was. Yeah, it
no, it
was.
was not.
Yeah, it
It was not
was.
a hit. It was
Okay.
not a hit.
Okay. Whatever you want to say. I was old enough to get in the bar then. So like it was.
It was not.
Okay.
Mr. Nice Watch was not a hit.
Okay. Well, we're just arguing what a hit is, even though it was. But all right.
Pe- Again, people were killing Cole for that song. They were killing him for that song. Like, yo, this song is stupid as hell. That's literally what
That's
people were
still
saying.
cool. Jay-Z owns a couple of clubs called the 30 for 30 for 30, the 30 30, and
40 40.
40 40, whatever, man. It's past 5 o'clock. I'm tired as hell. I was old enough to go to these clubs and see a club full of people rocking out to it while it was a single. So whatever you want to say, it's not a hit. It's not a hit. I don't give a shit what kids who can't get into the club are arguing on forums. When you're in the club and everyone's singing the song, it's a hit. Is that not a hit?
It was not a hit, bro.
Whatever, dog. I wasn't in Ohio. I was in New
Literally,
York when
hold
that
on,
came out.
talking about. Can't Get Enough was bigger. Nobody's Perfect was bigger.
Bigger
Workout
is not the argument. You're saying it wasn't a hit when it was.
Workout was bigger. Bro, people still bump Mr. Nice Watch? Come on, stop
I
it.
don't hear people bumping anything from that album. That's if you want to make that argument.
Okay, so that's
I bumped that album. So yes, I
okay.
bumped Nice Watch. I
So
bumped Sideline Story.
this is what I'm
I bump
saying.
all those tracks. But
Okay, okay,
your
so
argument is moot.
okay, so let me finish the story because I'm trying to explain to you what happened with that song. He had a song called God's Gift on Sideline Story. It is one of the best songs on the album. He wanted Jay-Z to be on that song. Jay-Z waited to literally the day they were supposed to finish the album, and he sent in the Mr. Nice Watch verse. So obviously it's Jay-Z. I gotta cut it. They cut the track. Da 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 da. One of the criticisms was the song was corny and that Jay-Z walked him on that song. Well, of course he walked him on the song because it was a throwaway song that he made him put on the album anyway, and then added a verse last minute. And ever since then, Cole's kind of just been like, yo, fuck Jay-Z. Because again, the song I wanted you to get on was God's Gift, because that was the song that was made for him and Jay to go on a song together and kill it. Again, when I say they don't have a classic song together, both A Star Was Born and Mr. Nice Watch were throwaway singles. Like, I'm not they they didn't have the classic hits that Wayne and Drake have, the classic hits that Kanye and Big Sean put out together. The stuff that even Dre and Kendrick had. They didn't have that. They had two songs that were nice little hits, but that's it. And we're talking about Jay-Z and J. Cole. That's the point I'm making. He never really got that from Jay. And so what I'm saying is time has passed. I think they're cool now, at least like cordial now and all this other stuff. I would love to see them just get on a track together and really spit on a fire track. I mean, again, Jay-Z has given more features to all these other artists.
I
And it's like
think it's an artistic decision. I'll say it again because your only example, again, is from 2011.
that's the that's
Yeah,
the
and I'm
I
saying
just
since
explained
then,
to you what, but I just explained to you why.
J. Cole has an album. J. Cole has a whole record label himself. No, am I forgetting that? Did I make that
Yeah.
up? Okay, so I'm gonna repeat it because you're acting like I'm saying something crazy. We're not in 2012. It's been over a decade since the story you just told. Part of this is maybe it's just an artistic decision.
No,
So every album since Sideline Story, he's just been asking Jay-Z for a verse and not getting it. I don't
no,
buy
I
that.
first of all, did you not hear when I said, yo, fuck, he said fuck Jay-Z after that? That's what I
Okay,
just
so that's
said.
an artistic decision on his end.
But
That's what
that's
I said.
because but that's because Jay-Z fucked him
Bro,
over
you can't
on
be a J. Cole stan and then act like he's not a man that just said fuck Jay-Z and then they're not going to work together for something that happened on his first album. Again, I'm a fan, but J. Cole was not the biggest fucking deal when he first dropped. That's just not what he was. He wasn't Drake. He wasn't Kendrick even.
but
Kendrick was
Drake
signed to
was Drake.
Aftermath.
Wait, time out. Drake, but that's my point. Drake was Drake because Lil Wayne put him on every single track.
Drake was Drake because his mixtape took off and Lil Wayne wasn't on every single track. Trey Songz was on one of the hottest songs off that mixtape.
But Lil Wayne, well, talking about. So you're telling me,
I'm saying Drake had underground mixtape buzz that Lil Wayne, being the mixtape dude, just knew how to take advantage of. That's a completely different road that getting signed by Jay-Z like J. Cole did and having a mainstream push like J. Cole did and coming up a little short. That's why the second album is much darker this time, and he had a whole lot more artistic input on that album. He has not made an album that has sounded like that first one since that first one.
yeah, because he didn't want to make the first one.
Exactly.
Friday,
Artistic decisions.
okay, but my point,
Like holy shit. Like I'm not even like it's like you
my
keep acting like I'm not saying it. Like that's what it is. Artistic decisions on.
yeah, but that's because that's the point I'm making. Jay-Z
So the
did
song that Jay-Z wanted to do wasn't the song that J. Cole wanted to do. So they had a difference in artistic opinion.
no, stop.
Okay, so Jay-Z is
He
just trying
put
to fuck
hold on,
over his own artist.
stop. Hold on. He put out Friday Night Lights because Jay-Z didn't believe in the album. So he just dropped Friday Night Lights. And when Friday Night Lights went off, Jay-Z said, okay, shit, I'll give you all right, let's do the album. Then he did Sideline Story. And again, Sideline Story had all these throwaway singles that were kind of mid because Jay-Z, because and again, I will give it to you that it was 2010, 2011 at the time. That was still the way you did albums, right? You're not going to put out an album without singles, blah, 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 blah. I get all that. I get
Mm-hmm,
all of that.
mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it still doesn't.
So Jay-Z didn't do artistically what Cole was good at and what Cole wanted to do.
And Jay-Z screwed
Mm-hmm.
him over on what he.
Whatever J. Cole stand, they had a complete difference in
Yo,
artistic opinion and the direction that the project should be.
Just because I disagree with you,
No, you're
doesn't
not
mean
disagreeing with me. You're trying to re-articulate exactly what I'm saying, but just say because Jay-Z fucked him over. And when at the time again, he is just another artist that hasn't done shit in hip hop. He's a completely unproven commodity.
which is why you want more classic songs with Jay. That's the point I'm making.
No, but I'm saying to you, you keep saying, and Jay-Z said, fuck him, he didn't believe in him. And since then, J. Cole hasn't wanted one. He like artistic differences, dog.
Again,
I'll use a different story.
again,
I'll use a different story for you, real quick. Rakim was signed by Aftermath after he was established, after he was a legend, after Eric B and Rakim were already solidified in the game. He signed to Aftermath around the time where Eminem was like the biggest thing on the planet, pre 50 Cent, just for like before 8 Mile. Rakim signed to Dre. You want to know why that album never came out? Dre wanted one sound, pretty much a gangster rap Rakim album, and Rakim's like, that's not the shit I do. The reason why he didn't make that album was because Rakim's like, I'm Rakim. I don't got to do that fucking album. at the same time who didn't drop on Aftermath, like the same era of Aftermath, while Aftermath's on top of the world. Jay-Z did not Jay-Z, Dr. Dre didn't believe in a rapper named Joel Ortiz and let him walk too, because Joel Ortiz didn't want to do what Dr. Dre wanted him to do, or some version of that. I'm obviously condensing it down for story purposes. Those are artistic differences. That's what that is.
Okay, I'm not
And the
disagreeing.
label, like,
I'm
I get
not
what you're saying, that he fucked them over and he should make it up to him, but these are fucking egos here. And Jay-Z is like the Obama of hip hop. He's not going to admit he was ever wrong. You're saying he said, no, these fucking songs. Jay-Z thought those songs would do better because those sound like Jay-Z songs.
okay.
And
Again,
artistically, J. Cole let Nas down. He sounds more like Nas. Do you hear
again,
Jay-Z coming out with a Hit
I'm
Boy
not
album anytime
disagreeing
soon?
with I'm not disagreeing with that. The
I
only
know you're not. You keep acting like I'm disagreeing when I'm pointing out artistic differences is why it hasn't happened. They don't want to do it.
Okay, great, cool. You got that? Cool. The only point I'm making is we didn't get enough of hope. That's literally the only point I'm
Yeah,
making. We
but I
did
don't think that's the case, bro. Like, a part of hip hop is the vibe, right? And part of J. Cole is the authenticity of the vibe. Like, he does songs with rappers I do not like, right? But part of why I will check out those songs because the song's a fucking vibe. Part of the reason why Watch the Throne worked was because those two dudes were vibing. That's never going to happen again. Watch the Throne 2 will not be as good as that because that was a point in time those two artists were on the same page.
mm-hmm.
Drake and Wayne making an album now is not the same as 10 years ago if they would have dropped like a Drake and Wayne album. All this shit matters. Go back to your first point about all this new information. Everything you said, I'm not saying that until you said, because it's all Jay-Z's fault. No. I am giving Cole a lot
I
of
didn't
agency here. I'm saying since then, I don't think this is your expectation. I'm telling you, don't hold your breath. Be happy if it happens.
no.
Don't hold your
Again,
breath on this one.
like I said, the only thing I really need is number one. Everything else is just kind of like
Because I want to be clear, this one, I'm going old school, dude. He's a petty Jehovah. He is petty. Oh,
no, I understand that. Again, besides number one, the rest of these are kind of like it would be nice if this happened. The point I'm making is, oh, is that Des? You're on mute. Hey Des, what's up, man? Yeah, the only point I'm making is I would love for them to give us a song that we never got. We never really got that classic Jay-Z Cole song, and that's all I'm saying. That's and I think I'm hoping at this stage of both of their careers they could come together and do it. That's the only point I'm making because we didn't
no,
get it before.
no, I understand that. I'm just saying you're not really gonna get it when they don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. What you're asking from my perspective as a fan, 100% my opinion, guys. It's like asking the what we talked about before about, well, just be competitive and go on the track. It's not going to turn in like the end products of that animosity that we're just skirting around.
But that's my also point. I don't think there's that animosity anymore. That's
I
the
do,
point.
because it hasn't happened. That's why. That's actually
No,
what I'm.
I think no, but I think recently they've kind of been back on like talking glowingly about each other. That's what I'm saying. I would love for it to happen now. I understand why it didn't happen all those years in between. I think they're in both different stages of their lives and their careers. Where it's like, all right, it would be great for this to happen. Okay. Anyway, number three, Kendrick feature. At this point, I think K-Dot owes Cole this. Again, I didn't talk about this earlier, but I kind of felt bad for Cole in a way because again, he kind of had to respond and get in the middle of it because his project was coming out when it was coming out. And obviously that's not Kendrick's fault because it wasn't his project. He can't control when that project comes out. But because of all of this and because Cole can't claim his title anymore, I would love for them to just get on the track and spit together and let's see who the best is because I think that'd be cool. Not to mention this whole stupid joint project that we were supposed to have that never came
Black
out.
Friday. Yeah.
Was that the name of? Like, I know they had the two Black Friday songs, but they had a
I
whole
think we all just
project.
called it Black Friday. That's we decided the track, the project would have been called Black Friday, and that's what I want. I agree with both these points. I do want a Jay-Z feature. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think a Kendrick feature is way more likely. But I would say if I was hedging my bets, we're going to get a Schoolboy Q feature. That's what I like. How he makes music. That's what I think we would get.
I'm okay with that. I'm
I
okay
think
with
we
that.
get
Yeah,
a
I
Schoolboy
just
Q and Nicki Minaj feature because he's a smartass like that.
true, true, right? Like, hey, I'm not picking sides here, but yeah, it's yeah, I would love for them to finally just give us some more music. The only reason why it's three and not two is because we have gotten a little bit more from them than Jay-Z and Hove. I mean, Jay-Z and Cole, but I realistically I want this more than a Jay-Z feature anyway. All right. Also, along those same lines, I want a Middle Child song, not a Little Middle Child remix or a part two, but a song with Cole and OG, either Hove, M, Nas, etc. And then one of his Dreamville artists, specifically JID, but I could live with Balls or Cos. He's been preaching this middle child persona, but we've never really gotten that on a song yet. He's worked with OGs, he's worked with some of these newer guys. I would love to see like a middle child type of song where it's all three generations on one track. I think that would be cool. Again, it's number four because it's like, I'm not, you know, holding my breath for it. I'm not gonna be mad if it's not there, but it'll be cool. But yeah, that's that one. And then the last one, I want this the most, but I think it's the most unrealistic. That's why it's five. But I want it to be a love letter to his career. I love themed albums. Obviously, he had to come up. He had the one where he had Friday Night Lights. He had Sideline Story, and the fall off is kind of like the circle, the end of that circle. I would love for this to be a love letter. If this is the last we hear from Cole, or at least the last we hear from him from a while, I wanted to encapsulate his career, a timeline with of in an album, if you will. A little mixtape Cole vibes, a little sideline story and Born Center vibes, definitely some 2014 Forest Hill Drives and For Your Eyes Only vibes. He could skip the KOD vibes, but I just want this to kind of feel like
1985, he's alive.
that's one song. Don't do that.
Bro, motivate, motivate, motivate. Whoa.
Yeah, whoa, yeah, great. Fine, he could
Heaven's
throw his.
Heart, real. I can keep going. I like that album.
You know what's funny? It's weird. Cole albums are interesting because I feel like besides Forest Hill Drive being one of his best, and besides Sideline Story probably being one of his worst, Cole fans are really up and down with which albums they like. Some people love Born Center, some people hate Born Center, some people love KOD, some people hate KOD. Like besides Forest Hill Drive usually being in the top three and Sideline Story being in the bottom three, everything else is kind of like up in the air. So I'm not surprised that you like KOD. I was like, I'm kind of cool on KOD. I get what he was trying to do with it. I was just like, Um, but yeah, I want this to kind of feel like a little bit of every part of his career. And one of the things I love about Port Authority, Antonio, you mentioned it before. It definitely had come up and warm up vibes to it. You know what I mean? So that's what I definitely hope that song is on the album. And that's what I want. I want some songs that make me feel like I'm listening to the warm up again, that make me feel like I'm listening to the
I'm
come up
being
again.
summoned, sir. I have to run.
Hey, bub, we're done.
Being jacked.
All right, we got one last slide. Oh, the last one is this one. Honorable mention. I want this full niggas full track. This was a snippet that he put on Revenge on the first Revenge of the Dreamers. It sampled Tupac's Hail Mary and it was fire. We've been asking for this song for a decade now, and we haven't gotten it. So that's the last thing I want on this album. Again, number one is the most important thing, but if I get any of the other stuff on this album, I'm gonna be happy. I'm excited for this album. I hope it comes out soon. I hope it's everything that he's been, you know, preaching that it will be. He's saying it's reasonable doubt, so we'll see about that. Do
Do
you
it
have
up.
anything to add before you run?
No, because this is your idea. So like I don't like to have expectations. If I was gonna do a slideshow like we just did together, my expectations, I can do more about like albums that we never got or albums that took so long. Like we did a lot of talking about Jay-Z randomly that I didn't expect. And I could go all day about how Jay Electronica's hype didn't live up to it. Uh, and it's not like I'd have expectations. If you take a decade to drop something, it better be every track is great in one way, shape, or form. That's all I want from Cole. Make whatever you want to make, but make it classic.
Yeah,
I don't care. Make it because Kendrick's every one of Kendrick's albums is different. Every single one of Kendrick's albums has a different vibe, different sound, and and people love them for different reasons. And same with Cole's albums, as you just outlined. This is a track I'm unfamiliar with. He was asking me about Hail Mary before we came on, which I just thought was hilarious because I was like, yeah, that's Tupac. Why are you asking me it's Tupac? Like, that's how much of a Cole fan he is, and over like just being a hip hop head. I'm the hip hop head. He calls me the old head. And I had to defend the honor of record labels today because he didn't understand the difference in time. Like, just I'm not trying to defend somebody not like believing in their artist necessarily, but like it is really way more skewed because I know how many of these Jay-Z proteges, being a kid that had XXL, Sources, Murder Dog magazines, when Rockefeller was just a label, that it's like, well, he didn't do exactly what the artist wanted to do. Yeah. We could do a whole slideshow on all the motherfuckers that he like, yeah, you do exactly what you want to do. And Brett don't know any of these dudes' names. Brett, how
Hey
many
man,
times you listen to a Memphis Bleak album?
hey man, Memphis Bleak was my shit, and
Oh,
Freeway,
stop. You lying.
and Freeway. Freeway got the hit on Smash, man. It's the rock in
I
the
hate
area.
that's the only freeway line you know, isn't it?
No, even though what we do is wrong, we still hustle till the sun comes up.
Yeah.
Crack a
Yeah,
40
go
when the
ahead,
sun
finish
goes
rapping
down.
it.
Crack a 40 when the sun goes down. So cold some of y'all niggas better bundle up. Everybody knows that song.
They want to rock us down.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But
I'm being attacked by a pumpkin.
you go ahead and be with DJ Desi Dez. Where can they find you?
Not the Chuck D on all the socials and at the underscore dope blog on Instagram. Don't support Twitter until they get a new owner. So we were done saying those handles because I haven't used mine personal one. It's still there. I didn't delete it because I believe that one day I'll be able to go back on there without being sold out. So, we'll see. But where can they find you, dude?
Never for Brett me NEVA underscore the number 4 BRETT on all the socials. We are at the underscore dope blog on Instagram and Twitter.
K.1. K.1.
K. Dot did win. Join us next time as we discuss other people's excellence. Please like, share, and subscribe. Go Dreamville. Go Cole. Fall off. Deuces.